We have a request video we were going to do today. I had a YouTube follower ask if we could do a clearing on blocks to learning, blocks to studying, blocks to memorizing things, and then potentially also look at any vows to ignorance or lifetimes where we had been persecuted for our knowledge. And I immediately, right out of the gate, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. It's funny because I had been thinking for myself that in one of the next clearings I just do for myself, I need to look at blocks to learning. I personally, if you're into astrology, I have my Saturn conjunct within 1 degree my Mercury. And so although on the positive side, that can mean that I can become a master of information and knowledge, it takes a long time. I am a slow learner usually. It takes me a while to get something. I can't just read it in a book and immediately know it and memorize it and understand it. So perhaps you, like me, have some astrological placements that influence your ability to learn, or perhaps, as this person implied, you've had lifetimes where you've been persecuted for your knowledge, and so now you are fearful of having knowledge. For that fear, again, of having to relive those experiences where you are persecuted for your wisdom, for your knowledge, for your truth. I was just reading about a woman from ancient Roman times who was a philosopher. She was a scientist. She was all of these things, very independent, and she was killed. She was killed because of that knowledge, because she was so wise and she refused to follow what had been the known rules of life, of the universe, and she was starting to expose other people to this new knowledge. And she was killed for that. So there's absolutely been times across all of existence where we have been killed, tortured, maimed, abused for our wisdom, for our truth, for our knowledge. So we're going to see if we can't clear some of that energy out of the way for any of us who are still holding on to that. And then, we can also look at, can we clear any vows we may have? And those vows can come because of any reason, to stay small, to stay stupid, to play out the image or the archetype that someone has given to us. This came up for me in a one-to-one session I had with a client the other day, where it was actually a benefit to someone in the family for them to stay small, for them to stay needy, for them to stay dependent, because they are acting out this role for the family or for a certain family member, for the family as a whole. So that could also be something that's going on here. It's almost like, oh, you're the stupid one, you're the younger sibling, you don't really know what's going on, and so you just sort of taken on that role. It's like, okay, well, from the time that I was young, everybody said it was my older brother who was smartest, and it was my older brother that had the brains, and I had the whatever, and so I guess I'm just stupid, and I guess it's just the role I'll play. And for some people, that means you haven't even pursued education because you've been told over and over and over again that you're stupid, you're dumb, you can't. So we're immediately, as I'm speaking these words, I like to believe that my words are going off into the universe, and my words are already starting to penetrate into the architecture and the DNA of our consciousness, of our awareness, and saying, ooh, okay, we actually don't like that. You're right. There was a vow there. There was a belief. There is an identity or an archetype that I have been performing of the stupid one, of the one who can't learn. And no, I don't want to do that anymore. Now that I'm conscious of it, now that these words, again, are going out into the universe, I can make a change for myself to no longer believe that, to no longer wear that mask, to no longer take on that role or that identity. So that's where we're going to land right now as we dive into the charts at minute 4. Sorry, well, that is quite the introduction today, but it is what it is. It is what is meant to be said. So we're just going to ask, what is one thing we can clear out of the way right now? What is just one thing right now, right out of the gate, we can clear out of the way that is going to release a lot of us from any blocks we have to learning? Interesting. Is this 6C or 6B? 6C. That's what I was thinking. So this is kind of one of our bigger gross energies charts. So what is it? What can we clear out of the way right now, immediately? Ooh, interesting. Is this disgust, or is this oversympathy to another? This is disgust. So feeling disgusted with ourselves and having taken on the disgust of others is what I'm getting as well. So we have felt either disgusted with ourselves for not being able to learn, believe, grow, study, whatever, or we have sensed that other people are disgusted in us, and we have taken that on, and we've allowed that disgust to convince us, to control us, to say, no, I am not capable of learning, so I might as well not go pursue my studies. Releasing us, all of us now, and drop your chest, right? And like soften your shoulders, roll your head around a little bit, drop your tongue off the roof of your mouth, soften your jaw if you can. Thinking about letting go of this energy of disgust that you have held for yourself, or again, the energy of disgust that somebody has placed upon you. We don't want it, we don't need it, it is not ours anymore. And we might as well, for the sake of it, say we release ourselves from any vows we've ever made to being disgusted. It's so interesting, not something I would think would come up. If you would have said, Kate, take a guess, take a stab at what energies will come up related to this clearing, I would not have guessed disgust, but here we are. So now what can we do to help release us from any blocks we have to our learning, to our studies, to owning ourselves as the identity we can have as smart, wise, educated being, conscious mind programs type 1 and 2, releasing us now from any conscious mind programming that says, again, that we are bad, stupid, incapable of learning. So these are the words that are in your awareness. These are the words that you are fully aware you have been thinking about yourself. And we're going to let them go now. And I always try to encourage people in our sessions, if you can, to visualize those words on a chalkboard. I am stupid. I am dumb. I am not capable of learning. And now imagine taking the eraser, taking a wet rag, taking whatever cleaning, method you want, and wiping those words away. We all know with the chalkboard, right? When we do that, it's like first maybe it gets a little cloudy. Maybe there's just like a pasty whiteness over it, a film. And you do maybe one more pass, and with every pass you take of that rag, of that eraser, it gets clearer and clearer and clearer until those words are completely gone from your conscious mind, from your memory, from your awareness, from the library of words that you say to yourself or out loud in your day-to-day. They are inaccessible now, forever and always. That's what I like to think. I am no more even able to access those words about myself. They will not bubble up. They will not come forward ever again. And now we can take our chalk and we can write down the new words we want to see on that chalkboard, the words that we now will have access to, the words that we now will immediately think of when we think about our own ability to learn, when we think about our own brain, our own mind. I am smart. I have an incredible memory. I'm excellent at studying. I am very good at learning and taking tests. I love being smart. Say that one. I love being smart. That felt a little bit uncomfortable in my own body. I will admit my stomach did a little bit like, oh. Can you really say that? And that's when you're like, am I in alignment with, good words, or am I in alignment with bad words? And good and bad, like, positive or negative as far as how it would benefit you. It's like, if that made my physical body feel a little bit uncomfortable, there's some work I still need to do around that. I love being smart. That I have work I have to do around that statement if I'm feeling that discomfort in my body. And so what's the work we need to do around that statement, hoping that if I'm feeling it, then perhaps some others are feeling it too. And we can clear ourselves from that icky feeling, from that distress we're feeling, saying, ooh, that feels so out of alignment for me to say that. And part of me too, for me, it goes back to a childhood around humility. You must be humble. How dare you think that you're smart? How dare you say that you're smart? And it's not that my family told me that directly, but I was brought up in a culture where it was glorified to be humble. The right thing to do was to be humble, to not say such nice things about yourself. And the intention there, I don't think was bad, but that was just what it was. It was like, be humble, be humble, be humble. So how can we release ourselves now from this belief that we must be humble, from vows to humility that are blocking us from loving being smart and loving the fact that we are smart? And I just said fact. It is a fact that you are smart. And you can say that to yourself right now. It's a fact that I am smart. This is not my opinion. It is a fact that I am smart. It is a fact that I am capable of learning. It is a fact that my brain functions at full capacity at all times and can read and absorb all of the knowledge and all of the truth that I need to be able to study and learn and grow in any area I would like. Well, let's look. Is there anything else that is blocking us from fully believing and aligning ourselves with those words that I love being smart? I love being smart. I love being smart. What is going on here? What other kind of little block is going on here that is maybe preventing us from believing this? Our desire to escape. We all carry over 800 programs of this type. That's the note that I put on my charts, a note from our books about spiritual response therapy from our original founder, a gentleman named Robert Detzler. Desire to escape, it's almost making me think like there is some benefit in not believing that I love being smart or that I am smart, because it allows me to escape reality, escape responsibility, because perhaps there is a responsibility that comes with being smart. The smarter you are, perhaps the more responsibility you must carry. And you get to escape that responsibility when you don't allow yourself to love how smart you are and acknowledge how smart you are. Oh, I'm just dumb. I can't do that. I'm not gonna go to college. I'm not gonna take that risk. I'm not gonna work hard for my degree because I'm too stupid. I wouldn't get it anyway. I would fail. I would just fail. And that's your desire to escape responsibility. Again, escape potentially having to change your identity. You know, maybe you are escaping a certain kind of identity. Maybe you are escaping the discomfort of growth. You know, and I'm guessing that's why this just came up. So we're releasing all of us now from this desire to escape. And again, it's possible for me, because this is the hit I'm getting right now, that part of that desire to escape is because of what we have learned in past lifetimes or in other awarenesses, that it is hard to be smart. It doesn't always pay off. You will be persecuted sometimes for your knowledge, for your truth, for your wisdom, and especially if you choose to share it with other people. Do you hear Rosie moaning? Rosie's very moaning right now. Rosie was persecuted in past lifetimes for being smart, apparently. And she said, yeah, it sucked. It was awful. And it could still happen today. You see it, right? Those people who are willing to put their truth out on the internet, no matter what that truth is, if you are willing to put your truth out there, you are going to get made fun of or bullied probably at some point, because somebody somewhere has a differing opinion than you do on what is the truth and what is, wisdom and what is real. So for some of us, perhaps also it's our desire to escape having to be judged for our truth, having to be judged for our wisdom, having to be judged for us standing by what we feel is right and real and true. So releasing all of us now from that desire to escape, giving us all the courage to face whatever hardship may come from being knowledgeable, from being aware, from being smart, from learning and growing. Okay, what else can we do today in this clearing that would benefit us all? Portals, toxic streams, and vortexes. We just flood these with love, with beautiful shining light, with the energy of nature. That's always what I think about. I think about like if we're stuck in like a gross, icky kind of portal of bad energy, I imagine birds at the top of the portal tweeting their beautiful songs into it. The sound of birds singing is like a sign of safety. You go back thousands of years or however long to when we were hunter-gatherers and when we had big, massive dinosaurs like come chase us. If the birds are chirping, it usually means there's no predators around, because if the birds are feeling safe enough to sing, then you can know that you are safe enough to just be hanging out and relaxing and resting. And so that's what I like to imagine when I'm thinking about, being stuck in this portal of ick. It's like having the birds sing their beautiful song into you, saying, you are safe, you are surrounded by love, you are surrounded by beauty, you are okay. Whew. All right, getting all of us now out of any kind of icky energy vortexes that we've been stuck in for any reason in any lifetime. 6E or 6A? 6E. Okay, 6E is an interesting one. 6E, what do you want to show me, 6E? Yes, we see freedom to follow one's own path. We're having some blocks to following our own path. We're feeling some blocks to having the freedom to following our own path. This is so interesting. So what is blocking us to have the freedom to follow our own path? What is blocking us to having the freedom to follow our own path? Was that 10A or was that map of consciousness 10A? Okay, gotta go back. So 10A, they were right next to each other. So I just wanted to confirm what's blocking us from having the freedom, or at least feeling like we are free to follow our own path. We're going back to desire to escape. Interesting. My desire to escape is blocking me from having the freedom to follow my own path. And I want to ask them, maybe, what is the root of this desire to escape? What are we trying to escape? Where did this come from? What is going on with this desire to escape? We're going to go to 6D. Oh, our relationship with God. Oh, yeah. Terror of God. Oh, my God. Wow. Well, it just hit me. It's like Adam and Eve ate from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, right? And they ate from the tree that was going to give them basically like the secrets of the universe, right? You'll be able to have more knowledge if you eat from the fruit of this tree. And they did. And then they were terrified of God. That's why they put on clothing, right? They were naked and then they put on clothing, because now in receiving that knowledge, they also received the information that I must now be terrified of God. And whether that was because they realized they had quote unquote sinned, or whether or not part of the knowledge that they attained was fear of God. That's what happened. And so it just is so fascinating to me, like the symbolism in the stories. And I don't necessarily believe that Adam and Eve once walked the earth. They might have, I don't know. But it's the symbolism of, if we as humans are representative of Adam and Eve, and the separation that occurred between us and our Father, us and our Creator, and the separation energy is terror. That's what created the separation between God and Adam and Eve. They were now afraid of God. They were no longer feeling loved and welcomed and accepted by God because they sinned. They disobeyed him. And again, part of the knowledge that they were downloaded with was this fear that, now I am, I'm recognizing my own humanity. I'm recognizing the ways in which I am different from God. I am separate from God. I am my own individual, and I now have fear. And so we're not feeling safe and free to be ourselves, because we are no longer feeling a connection to God. We're terrorized by God. We're terrorized by the thought of God. We're terrorized by the thought of heaven and hell. We're terrorized by the thought of sinning and being imperfect. We are now terrorized by thinking about the knowledge that we have gained. And so we try to escape this terror. We try to run from this terror by remaining dumb. By, let me go back to my ignorance. Let me stay in ignorance, and then I can avoid this terror. And I avoid this terror by escaping into my ignorance. Ooh, fascinating. Fascinating. I just love this. I just love this work so much. It's just fascinating. Releasing all of us now, and you can say that for yourself, like, I release myself of my terror of God. I don't want to be terrorized by the idea of God anymore. I don't want to be terrorized by the idea of heaven and hell. I don't want to be terrorized by my own humanity and my own imperfection. I don't want to be terrorized by the idea that the more I learn, the more likely I will be of being judged, right? Because that was also it. God will now judge me. I better put my clothing on, because God will now judge me for my nakedness. I will now be judged. And so for many of us, we are afraid to pursue the knowledge we are interested in for fear of being judged. Maybe you're somebody who wanted to be, a writer, but instead your family encouraged you to be a doctor. Maybe you are somebody who wishes that they could pursue journalism, but you're scared to death of being prosecuted for being judged for what you find as a journalist. Whatever, fill in the blanks with any of these stories. and release yourself now from that fear. I'm letting that fear go. I don't want to hold that fear anymore. I am no longer terrorized by knowledge, by truth, by my connection back to source, because that's what knowledge and truth is. Knowledge and truth is our connection back to source. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Okay, what else can we do here? It's so funny because I wasn't going to record a session this morning. I was just feeling kind of low energy and a little grumpy. And I'm so glad that I did this because I find it just fascinating, and I'm so hopeful that it's going to help me too. I want to learn better. I want to understand things better. Okay, so this is freaking fascinating. Satanic forces is now coming forward. Y'all, I can't make this up. And I know some of you are like, I'm not into Satan. I'm not into that belief system. I don't believe that there is a heaven or a hell or a God or a Satan. It doesn't matter. We're not necessarily talking about what's real. We're talking about the symbolism of Satan. We were just talking about the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, right? We were just talking about this knowledge, this truth that now there is judgment. There is heaven and there is hell, right? Adam and Eve, before eating of that tree, believed that they are one with God, believed that there was no Satan, believed that there was no evil. And they were in illusion. But in that illusion, they felt close to God. In that illusion, they believed they were safe, so they were. But then all of a sudden, Satan comes in with the temptation. Here's the truth. Don't you want the truth? This will open up worlds for you. And we accept it, we received it, we bring on this knowledge, but sometimes educating ourselves can be difficult because we learn hard truths. You know, we learn more about ourselves, we learn more about the world around us, you know, we learn more about other people through this knowledge. So, you know, whatever this may mean here, whatever this symbolizes, I just trust and believe that it is meant to come up and that it is meant to be cleared. So releasing us not only from the terror of God, but the terror of Satan. Not only releasing us from the terror of being judged, but the terror of burning in hell forever. Releasing us now from the grip that any of these characters have on us. Releasing ourselves from the grip that this symbolism has on us and keeps us restricted and prevents us from expanding our knowledge. Both symbolically, both God and Satan are asking to restrict your knowledge in its own way, right? Satan is saying, don't know the truth about love. Don't know the truth about light. Don't know the truth about your own power and authority. And God is saying, don't know the truth about sin. Don't know the truth about your own humanity. Don't know the truth about the world. You know, both want you to stay ignorant in your own way. And we're releasing us now, all of us, from this programming of ignorance, this programming of control. And again, our fear of judgment, our fear of persecution, going back to that as that person had requested on this video. Okay, so now what do we need to do for this clearing 8A? It also might be that we're winding down because this has felt, you know, pretty great, pretty big. Anything on here that you want me to look at? Yeah, interesting. The maternal, opening ourselves up now to receive in its place the maternal loving energy. Oh, so beautiful. So perfect. So perfect. So perfect. Releasing ourselves from the judgmental father, releasing ourselves from the sick, twisted uncle that is Satan, right? And allowing ourselves to be embraced by the maternal, by the mother. I love this so much. The mother says it is safe to learn. The mother says, I will not allow you to be hurt for the way in which you want to expand your mind, expand your experience, expand your knowledge, expand your truth. The maternal says it is safe to explore. It is safe to express all versions of you. It is safe to expand. You know, that is what the mother represents. That is what the mother does. The mother also keeps us safe. The mother is not sending us to the fiery lakes of hell. The mother is not judging us. The mother is not creating these like these games. Here, I'll put you in this beautiful garden, but you can eat of any tree but this one. The mother isn't doing that. The mother is saying, I created you and I love you unconditionally. And I will always watch out for you, and I will always be there for you as you continue your journey as a human. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that this is what was going to come up? I sure wouldn't have. I had no stinking idea. I would never have got, I thought it was all going to come down to like self-hate, self-punishment, all that stuff. Restructuring of the mind. That is what's happening right now in this moment. Allowing our minds to be restructured, allowing our minds to let go of all of the outdated beliefs, all of the imprints that these symbolic stories have placed upon us. There is a neural restructuring that is happening right now in this moment. The nurturing energy of the mother coming in and, massaging your mind, saying it's okay, here, let's do some restructuring, let's do some release, let's, again, move this little neuron over here and this little neuron over there so that you can think freely, memorize fully, and learn well. I can learn well. I can memorize fully. And I am not afraid of being persecuted for my knowledge. Unblocked, fully free to learn new things. I am unblocked, fully free to learn new things. All right. Let's just do one more little thing here. Going back to this relationship with God. The misuse of God consciousness. We're releasing all of us now from any time we have misused our God consciousness, opening ourselves up to use it wisely. Use the truth of all things, the divine truth, the one truth, accessing that and being able to use it wisely. All right, we're going to do 100% of 100% a mop up now. We're going to look at our new energies. What are our replacement energies today? What are our replacement energies? Acceptance, joy, trust. Acceptance, joy, and trust. Those are our replacement energies today, everybody. Well, I hope that this was helpful for you. What an interesting journey it's been for me today. If you are interested in this kind of work, if you're curious about spiritual response therapy, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to do a recorded session for you, a one-to-one session where we are live together, chatting over Zoom. And yeah, if you just want to learn more about spiritual response therapy, you can do that on my website, www.thepointedstone.com. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.